Nah, oh Lord Jesus, please.
Because I be watching so much. Sometimes I be watching documentaries, and sometimes I watch
I'm gonna need you to stop watching fiction because it's seeping in.
We're watching so much. Sometimes I was watching. I don't know what was I watching.
Don't watch fiction, please. This diva is not allowed to watch fiction anymore.
Like it was.
Welcome to another episode of Diva Court. I'm your co-host, Marcia Migno, and with me is my co-diva.
Trying to suck my stomach in.
Is that wool? Sheep's woof. Sheep's wool. That is.
No, it's.
Jeez, what is that? Velvet?
No, it's prairie dog.
Oh.
German Shepherd.
Okay, let me start. We are not responsible for the things she's going to say.
Nor do we believe half of it, because I'm just out here saying whatever that comes to mind.
We believe everything that I have to say because I'm the rational diva.
Good luck with that.
And that's the cray-cray diva.
Good luck.
You have to have opposites. They do attract.
Opposites attract.
Oh, Father.
2 steps forward.
We do not own anything we're going to talk about.
Or are we liable at your feelings?
Because this show is for edutainment purposes only.
Yes, ma'am.
Now look for our episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Be sure to catch our videos each week on YouTube. We push them out every Tuesday. Is it Tuesday? Every Wednesday.
How many episodes are we on now? And you don't know?
What Wednesday. Number are we?
27.
Okay. So
I made that up.
She guessed right.
I just remember the last time we said 25, and that wasn't the last time, so I just added
she guessed
2.
Okay. Shame you have to guess.
I should have been an engineer.
Our sponsor, HeyCurl.shop. Don't forget our sponsor. Hey Curl is a wonderful product. I love the leave-in conditioner. I cannot say that enough. Yeah. Please go to HeyCurl.shop and check out the samples. They're free. You can't beat free, listeners. Don't negotiate free. Just click on the description, fill out the information, use your DIVAFREE code, and enjoy. HeyCurl.shop.
Yes, Hey Curl.
Topic number 1, Oklahoma painful execution gone bad. Is Oklahoma ever going to learn that an execution is painful?
Like, do they interview
who do they test this execution medication on?
That's what I was thinking. Like,
oh, we got it this time, courts. We got it. This one is painless. We tried it on Uncle Billy.
Maybe it's rats. But how's the rats telling
a rat can't tell you nothing.
Maybe he's not squilling. How many squills?
If your rat doesn't eek, then your poison is good.
No, I got it. If your rat doesn't eek, your poison is weak.
So you got poison commercial now?
Whoop, there it is.
Oklahoma, I'm going to need y'all to get it together. I am sorry. Death is not good. Any way you kill somebody, it's painful.
That's true.
So do not fool yourself when you're committing murder that you're not committing murder because you're committing murder for a murder.
Murder for...
It's murder for a murder. That means
murder
it's
for
not
hire
murder?
if I pay you to be an executioner?
Of course it's murder for hire.
There you go.
But the laws can make certain murders legal and certain murders
like
illegal.
Abortion. They make abortion legal and that's murder.
You think so?
Yeah.
What are we murdering?
And so would the doctor be an executioner? Yes.
Now, if the doctor is licensed and
so he's a licensed executioner that's professional.
Just like the one that in Oklahoma that tested out the medicine that said, and that's why if you're going to have the death penalty, you're going to need to allow women to determine that they want to terminate a pregnancy.
No, because then she might be, committing murder.
How do you kill something that's never been born?
Ooh. I think birth means alive.
You can be alive in a belly. Yeah, you can be alive in someone's stomach.
So if the termination occurs prior to the person having any movements or the person being able to survive outside of the womb.
It's still a death. It's still a death that occurs.
Is it a death if I don't do a death certificate?
I mean, just because man said, let me type up this document, it doesn't mean that doesn't determine life.
But it's man that's determining life. So if you're going to trust man to type up a document to kill a man in Oklahoma.
There's women, I agree with you. That's murder.
So that's my thing. How could you be pro-life and not pro-life? That's an adult life.
I'm pro-life across the board.
But you do know that there are people out there, Co-Diva, that are pro-life, but for the death penalty.
They're idiots. They're idiots.
That simple?
Very simple.
It's not complicated?
It's not complicated.
So
no death to no one. Until our Heavenly Father takes the breath out of someone, that's when.
So we have no legal right, or we should have no legal right to kill anyone. And I agree with that. Now that I can drink to.
Whoop, that is. This is like the first time in like 6 weeks.
She just saw you were thirsty.
This thirsty diva that wants to drink even before the show starts, and we're supposed to be sipping.
We don't,
and she's gulping.
we don't feel. Listen, what I'm about to say,
I don't know, because
listen, you can't reveal what we talk about prior to the show about the sipping. Me trying.
No, we're
sip.
supposed to sip.
No,
we're not supposed to go
going for the glass prior to the show. You weren't supposed to say that.
Oh, you were trying to?
It was a secret.
I think you've done it in the show. Your secret's already out.
It was a secret.
The listeners who are watching you on YouTube have seen you reach for that glass. So your secret's out. But back to the topic at hand, Oklahoma.
If I may add, so this is their third
attempt.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
At a painless execution.
They want another attempt.
And they're saying, hey, give us another shot. Don't worry. We might get it right by...
Like, how does the Supreme Court rule on that to say, well, how we gonna know?
Well, I believe it's a state.
It's a state. Mm-hmm. It's a state.
It's still a Supreme Court, though. It's
right, of that state.
Right.
Yeah, of the state of Oklahoma. But my problem is, it's painful to die.
It is.
It is painful to cut my air off. It is painful to stop my heart. Yeah. So I don't understand why we are fooling the citizens of this country into believing that we're not doing something that's painful.
Exactly.
It's probably because the general public would say, it's cruel, don't do it.
It's cruel.
And people would want it to stop. And so for you not to want capital punishment to stop.
I was thinking, is that why you... I was thinking, what if we hang them instead? Do we not hang people because it's like it has? This is about to sound
it's inhumane.
Stupid.
It's inhumane. That's what they decided. Because it comes with a bad reputation.
Is that why?
Well, probably included in that, but I think it's inhumane. I mean, and we want to
watching. Only reason why I asked about the hanging is because I've been watching Turn on Netflix. And Turn is about how back in the day when the rebels were going against the redcoats, and if you found a spy, you can hang them. And so the cleanest way to hang them is like they just remove the thing and then it just snaps your neck and you're automatically supposed to be dead. But this one person, they pushed him off. So he struggled with the hanging. It wasn't an instant thing. So that's why I was thinking, is hanging instant if you do it properly?
Probably not. It'd probably be just as difficult as this injection that we cannot get right in Oklahoma. Okay? So if we're on number 3 and we still have a painful process where the person is screaming in the middle of the injection and cursing at them and telling them how painful it is.
Yeah, it's like my whole body is on fire.
Yeah, that's evil, man. That's evil. And they should stop it. I just don't think that if you're pro-life. But I think there's some people
when the system is so flawed
to getting the right person. Especially when it's a person of color. We have so discriminated in this judicial system that we should be afraid. We should be afraid to execute a death sentence on someone.
How many innocent people have
that we've released? No, that we've released.
No.
And if we had killed them.
Forget that. How many innocent people have to die and you find out they were innocent before you realize?
Oh, those we cover up. Those are called unpublished opinions.
Is that the one where we like just sign here and we'll charge them with trust? Remember we was talking about the case. We'll charge you with trespassing.
Right.
Like Isn't that perjury?
If you plead guilty, then
If you plead guilty.
we won't have to act like
And don't
it
sue
happened.
us.
Yeah, please don't sue. Waive your right to suit. I think it's wrong. I think it's evil. I think it's horrible. I cannot imagine, wanting, even if someone harmed my loved ones.
Yeah.
I am so about the life and the choice that I just cannot fathom, even if someone were to harm my loved one, that I would feel comfortable as a believer, as somebody who's saying, I'm a Christian woman, and I just don't
You got me so fired up right now,
I don't believe in that.
How do you translate that? Now listen.
Let me tell you how I translate it. I'm glad you asked that question.
Well, let me ask my question first. Okay. How do you everything you said was, I was just all by like, yes, I believe that. I'm on point. That makes so much sense. I don't understand how you, especially when you say, like, I could understand, like, you kill my kid, I don't care. Get the death penalty. You know what I'm saying? If it happens, it is what it is. Shoot, you better get it before I get it. Give it. You know what I'm saying? That makes sense to me. But for a child who was an afterthought, oh, I'm pregnant now, let me just get rid of it. And there's no offense that happened. Because you made a bad decision.
Because that afterthought is going to be the gentleman that you decided to wrongfully execute when you use.
But that's not 100% accurate.
Oh, get out of here.
There's a lot of babies who were not aborted.
Listen to me. That afterthought is sitting at DFACS getting molested. That afterthought is bouncing from pillar to post. Okay. That afterthought is now carjacking and raping and robbing your daughter, who you now want to turn around and execute that afterthought in Oklahoma on the fourth try with their medicine. That's not working because it's painful to die.
That's not statistical. That's anecdotal. That's just what could possibly happen. He can cure cancer. He can come with the next Facebook. They could be the next president.
Do you have any data? Because the last time we had this show, we gave you homework. Did you do your homework?
I forgot.
See what I'm saying? She flunked. She flunked.
But what I'm saying is that we can't really
take your F first. You flunked. You didn't do your homework.
That's fine.
You get a 0.
I see how you're trying to deflect.
No, you get the 0 before you get the fleck.
I'll take it. But we can both use anecdotal stories to.
No, the numbers are out there. I think the numbers are out there.
The numbers out there are what? That if you killed that baby, how is the number?
No. I'm talking about the number of unwanted pregnancies. You can register those, right? If you're lucky, the mother gives you up for adoption when you're at an extremely young age, but there's still no guarantee you're going to turn out in a good home. If you're not lucky, your mother just walks away from you, or if you're not lucky, she has a lot of boyfriends, or she's on drugs, or she is just living from pillar to post. You're getting bounced from friend's house to friend's house.
So you think that's better than death?
Of course it is.
So wait,
why would I want a child to come into the world to torture?
Wait, but the child is gonna die. I mean, you still killing the child.
The child does not know that they were here. They're not feeling any pain, depending on how many weeks it is. 6 weeks. You cannot tell me that at 6 weeks.
How do we know?
What do you mean, how do we know?
Ain't nobody asking these kids.
Because I don't hear nothing say, ow, when I have a miscarriage.
If you... Really? Really? That's what you're doing? That's what you're doing?
You asked for it.
You can. I asked for it.
Yes, you did. You dug that up.
I just think that, because if you ain't say eek, it must be weak. Yes, right. No, but I just feel like your argument
I didn't hear eek.
So if you heard an eek, then you thought.
If I hear eek.
But you out of it. You don't even know. You're out of it.
Trust me.
Trust me.
The science is there. You have a miscarriage, you're not out of it. You don't hear eek.
I know, but what I'm saying is that you're still taking a life. Like, it's still a life.
No, if you wait long enough, yeah.
If you
wait long enough, you are taking a life. But my problem is the life you're taking in Oklahoma for you to go to bed at night going, yeah, because he murdered my mother. And I'm good with that. And that one went eek.
No,
and yes, the medicine is weak.
What I said is that I can understand the thought process that doesn't
Let me tell you something. When I'm
necessarily-
angry, I
pro-life.
would think that way.
I'm pro-life. Like,
let me be
I feel like
honest.
everybody could be. I think that everybody has the ability to be to change and see life in a different way and come back and be given maybe not a second chance out in the street, but
Let me tell you
changing their
something.
own life.
I would subscribe to that thought process if we did not have a governmental system that completely ignores the needs of these children. If we had a system that said, oh no, we have college tuition for it. Oh no, we have housing for it. We police it. We make sure that it's not at the boyfriend's house getting killed. You remember that just last week, a New York couple, there was a white male dating a black female in New York, and he killed her 8-year-old son. And the neighbors were complaining to DFACS about the children being left home alone, and the brother's body was in the apartment rotting. And DFACS, despite the neighbors calling, did absolutely nothing. They said when they got to the home, the other children were living in squalor. 11-year-old, 10-year-old, other kids are there. And the government is not saying, when DFACS called the first time we showed up, we snatched those kids up. We put them in counseling. We made sure they were going to school. We made sure that they were adopted out or they're taken care of. And we're policing the people who are saying, I want to be a foster parent. We police them very hard. You understand what I mean? We police them.
So we should allow abortions because the government ain't doing their job? Because that's what I got.
We should allow abortions at a certain weeks, at a certain point. You understand? At a certain point. I'm not saying unlimited and unbridled. You don't walk into the office and say at 9 months pregnant, I want to terminate this
what is the
pregnancy.
point though?
There is a point.
There's a heartbeat at 6 weeks.
If I'm not getting, there's no heartbeat.
It
at
is
6
a
weeks.
heartbeat at 6 weeks.
Okay, we're going to need to bring a doctor in here.
Well,
Matter of fact, I
that's
have a doctor
beyond
that wants
the
to
point.
come
It's
as a
more
guest.
than, like, does a heartbeat determine life?
I mean, I believe that life begins at conception. So I'm not going to argue that with you guys because that's a whole different level of argument. But there is a heartbeat at 6 weeks, though.
Yeah, understood. But again, if you're you're pointing to the heartbeat as your acceptable.
No, she says
No,
not
I'm
even
not.
a heartbeat. She says at inception.
I believe it. Here's the thing.
No,
I can't
what I'm
argue
saying
I can't argue at conception because I may not believe. My belief system may not be the same as somebody else's belief
but
system.
I'm saying
but
your
in the-
compromise is at the heartbeat.
No, for me, there is no compromise. But if we're going to talk about
I'm
there is
not
no
talking
compromise.
about
What
you.
I'm saying is that I
talking
don't feel like you
about
should get an abortion,
society.
period. I don't think that abortion should even
So in
occur.
society, what's the compromise? What
In
compromise?
I mean,
Heartbeat?
when the heartbeat, with 6 weeks is when the heartbeat comes.
Okay, and if medical providers can prove that it's not at 6 weeks, you're good with whatever.
Well, no,
what-
I don't.
Hold
care
on,
about
hold on.
that.
I'm just,
No,
I'm just trying to get her thought process.
No.
If it's more, if you cannot get a heartbeat before 6 or at 6 weeks, you're okay with the marker being for the general public, not for you, because we know yours is at inception. You understand what I'm saying?
I'm really kind of at the embryo stage. Like if I got to go to court because let's say me and my husband, we created these embryos and then we got a divorce, but now he no, I don't want no baby. And I have to go to court to fight you. And you know what I'm saying? That right there to me there's the responsibility.
No. But under those circumstances, there's no guarantee you're going to have a baby.
I understand that. But if we're fighting over that.
No. If you're
That's a
fighting
baby.
over that,
Yeah.
that's his right to say, I don't want to be a father. And the court could say, that's her right to carry that baby if she wants to carry that baby. And how he's protected is, he can say, then I want to relinquish my parental rights. And the court should say, absolutely,
I know that's
sir.
what they should
she
say,
gets
but
the
that's
baby.
not-
No.
That's not how it goes.
Well, of course it can go that way. You don't know of any cases that's going that way because
I don't know if I do or if I saw it on TV.
No, oh Lord Jesus, please.
Because I be watching so much. Sometimes I be watching documentaries and sometimes I watch
I'm gonna need you to stop watching fiction because it's seeping in.
We watching so much. But sometimes I was
Please.
watching. I don't know what was I watching.
Don't watch fiction,
Was
please.
it?
This diva is not allowed to watch fiction anymore.
Like it was like. Well, I'm trying to figure out if it was real, like if it was a real show because
Right.
it's somebody.
And the aliens came down and
No,
they was
no,
having
no.
a baby.
On a real-
And the two aliens was fighting.
No,
and the alien
no.
daddy said, the aliens that's in that
No.
shell, in that glass, I don't want to have that
What
baby.
I'm saying is that they went to the I think it was real life. they implanted the eggs. She had so many eggs. The eggs were implanted and they became embryos. And she wanted to have the baby, but the dad was like, no. And the court said that no baby could happen because it was property, the way the property was split. It belonged
Well,
to
let me
the
tell you
family.
something. If they had some type of agreement prior, and that's where you don't get the whole story. What a lot of people will get is sound bites in the court proceedings. They don't go read the documents. They don't go pull the documents. But if you pull the documents and his argument was, we had an agreement before because we thought about this. What if we all change our minds? You understand? And to be honest with you, a lot of these providers who have these embryos that they're keeping for you will have written agreements because they don't want to be in the middle of a dispute over, you got to come to court and you got to spend all this money because daddy don't want the baby and mommy wants it, or mommy doesn't want it and daddy wants it. And he's like, give it to my new wife. She'll have it. And she's like, because that'll still be my baby. That's my egg. Because remember, we're looking at it from a one-sided perspective, but the woman could say, I don't want a child out there that I know is mine. I don't want your new wife carrying it. I don't want your sister carrying it. I don't want anybody carrying it.
I get that.
So that's my point is you got to know what the facts.
That's such a jealous woman thing. Like, I don't want you carrying my baby. Like, you're not even gonna be a part.
Of course, there's a
But you're
genetic
not even a
reason behind
part.
it.
Like, you're not even carrying the baby. You have
No.
this. It's trash to
But
you.
think
It's
about it.
complete trash.
The mindset.
These women are so unreasonable.
No, but the mindset that there's a human being out there that is part of me that I don't
But you
know
don't
where
want
it
nothing
is.
to do with it.
No, but you're concerned that it might be abused. You don't want it, but you don't want it to be abused.
I don't want it, but I don't want you to have it either. That sounds like a basic woman
No, but you
argument.
could be concerned that
I
it's
don't
going
want
to
you
be
to be
abused.
happy if I'm not happy.
No, but you would feel guilty if you said, I don't want it. Somebody else has it. And then you find out that somebody molested it.
Why is everything going to molestation and abuse? Why
I'm
can't
gonna
you
go
just have a
back.
happy...
I'm gonna change it from that. I'm gonna change it from molestation and abuse because you don't understand what's going on at defects, and I don't want to wake you up to the real world.
No, I understand what's going on, but everything can't go to molestation and
Let me tell you
abuse.
something. Majority. It would blow your hair. It will blow your hair back.
Where are
Let
the
me tell you
numbers?
what.
Do your homework.
I was
Where are the
watching an
numbers?
episode one time.
What episode was
of
you watching?
Cops. Cops.
Cops is
And let
real.
me tell you something. You could tell that this female police officer was clueless as to how defects worked, right? So she goes to a property, she arrests someone, right? And then she goes and she finds a child. And she calls the supervisor, all filmed too. And the supervisor, she says, what do I do with the kid? Because the kid is very young. And they said, you got to call defects to come and get the kid. So she calls defects and defects gets the child. And then after defects gets the child, she was so connected to this kid and her concern was like, so who's going to take care of it? So who's going to this? And she starts asking questions. And the supervisor was like, no, you don't understand. You take it to defects and you walk away. And she went to defects and saw where the child was and was peeping in the glass after they had taken physical possession of the child from her. And she broke down and started bawling.
Why we not sending the police to defects then?
No. My point is, when you are disconnected from what's happening to these children, and it's not at your house, and you don't have to deal with it, it's all good and dandy to talk about how wonderful it is for somebody to be born. But when you're looking at the reality of it, to the point where you're an officer and you just turned over a child in defects and you're crying about, oh my God, look, they don't even have a bed. They're putting the child on a cot. Because they defects was like, okay, number 5, throw it on a cot. And she was totally upset about what was going on. And cops filmed her. They didn't show her face, but they filmed her because, of course, she don't want to be on camera crying. But you could still hear her. You could hear when somebody's crying when they're talking. But my point is,
So let's kill the
when
babies
you're no. My point is, you go to bed real good at night, knowing that this Oklahoma man died a painful death. Because
Not
he
me.
was, hold on, no, I'm not talking about you. I'm not specifically speaking of you. I'm talking about when you're
People
talking about
who think-
society. People who say, hey, let's go kill him because he killed somebody else's
Right.
family, or he killed a daughter, or he killed a child, or whatever the case may be. They're murdering him because they said he murdered somebody.
Right.
And it's murder because they didn't do it the right way. It wasn't inhumane. He's screaming and yelling, I'm on fire, this is burning, this hurts, all the kind of stuff.
Right.
So everybody's clear that this man in Oklahoma, in this execution, it did not go well. It botched. They
Right.
call it botched because they know they botched it.
Right.
But why is it okay to say to his mother, you're having him, right? And not be concerned one iota about where he went when he left the hospital with her?
No, I don't think that. I think there is a gap, and it falls into whatever government agency is supposed to be responsible for the kids.
So are you saying as a society we can't design a government agency that takes
I'm
better
not
care?
saying that. I'm saying that there needs to be checks and balances. I call defects
how
on
about we
defects
spend
info.
our money in that, and then we can come to women and say, hey, we're making it illegal because we've got resources available for these children, and we think it's wrong for you to be terminating a pregnancy. And because of that, ma'am, give it to us. We'll be waiting when you deliver. Thank you.
I agree to that. But I don't think
But that's
that
not the reality.
the alternative should be, oh, since ain't nobody gonna be responsible, let's kill his baby.
We're killing him anyway. You just say, don't kill him now, kill him later.
No, what I'm saying is, you don't.
Kill him when he can feel the
No,
pain.
no. What I'm saying is, every abortion doesn't result to the death penalty. Like, there's not a funnel from abortion to death penalty, or we decide not to abort you to death
What there
penalty.
is
It's not a funnel.
enough. I don't know if you've read Freakonomics, but Freakonomics goes into the detail of after Roe v. Wade and what crime looked like about 18 to 20 years after, like 15 to 20 years after it passed. Now there was a significant dip in a lot of the
When did Roe v.
resources
Wade
used.
pass?
I believe it was 70 something. I will look that up.
But what's the correlation? What happened during those times? The CIA was putting drugs in the black community. Like, there's a correlation between, selling crack that the government put in the community, the guns and the drugs. So again, this goes back to the government. So we our people were getting the ones that they were making the abortions for. Planned Parenthood, which was...
Wait a minute. I haven't heard that in a while, but the producer's going to have to play that one.
Listen,
on that
the lady who put together...
We do not believe anything she got to say.
The lady who put together Planned Parenthood...
that disclaimer at the beginning of the show,
the
ladies
lady
and
who
gentlemen.
put together Planned Parenthood was an agent of white supremacy.
I don't know where your fake news is coming from.
That's not fake. That's true.
But I'd like you to know
That's
that
true.
I don't understand how black people can be the minority in everything except abortions.
Do you know that?
Except shoplifting.
Hold on. It was the majority.
Isn't it amazing?
They were the majority of abortions. They were the majority of people going to prison. Maybe not now, but when it initially started, it was in the black community. It was a majority of abortions. Yeah. This is true. Do you know that if we didn't have abortions, black people there would be more black people to outnumber the white people?
I'm not buying that.
It's true.
I'm not buying that.
Do you know how many abortions are done every year?
Trust me. There was a time in life where they were accusing black women of having babies. You don't remember?
You don't know?
Bob, I'm not going to bid on that.
We can't bid. No, but my point is this. It's really? The producer's touching buttons, you see?
Well, he need to be touching the Google so he can be Googling
He said,
these
cold
answers.
computer.
Google these answers.
He said, cold computer. Now listen, I have a problem with killing somebody when it's painful. When it's painful, when you've tortured them after they lived a rough life, bounced from pillar to post, lived on the streets, gotten assaulted, got shot in the back by the police, had to turn to crime to feed themselves, to help themselves, no resources whatsoever. As soon as they turned 18, defects kicked them to the curb, said, good luck to you. See you later. You're an adult. No resources, nothing, no college funding. They're fighting even free tuition right now in a bill that Biden is trying to put through. Free tuition. You could educate the people or you incarcerate the people. And we rather spend the money on incarceration than education. I'm not for it.
What bill? I don't believe it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You're not reading it anyway. So what difference does it make?
No.
Next topic. Supreme Court of the United States has heard oral arguments regarding the Texas abortion law. You see how we transition from death to abortion?
Death to death.
In Oklahoma, painful death to death to
in the womb.
Abortions.
To death in the womb.
So
from the womb to the tomb.
That's exactly
That's what
where
this
you're going.
episode gonna be called. From the womb to the tomb.
Now, the Supreme Court says we need to wait and hear the oral arguments. So the arguments were today.
Okay.
Let's talk about the arguments. The arguments were today that the state of Texas has came up with a disingenuous way.
Can we not use adjectives? Just give the facts
Okay.
without the adjectives.
So listeners, the Supreme Court arguments today says that the state of Texas has come up with a disingenuous way.
I love it. Can we drink to that?
Listeners, she was waiting in anticipation to hear how it's going to change that.
Strategic one. Strategic. Very
An intellectually dishonest way
intellectually strategic way.
to come around and circumvent federal rules of law.
Yes.
So that's why they didn't make it criminal. It now comes clear
Yes.
why they made it civil.
Well,
because they don't want it. No, because remember, the arguments they were making today is that if the person has a constitutional rights, and there's federal rulings regarding that issue.
Go back to your introduction. So we
Okay,
know. Yeah.
so the intellectually dishonest way is that instead of creating a criminal statute, which they know the federal government would immediately have an opportunity to challenge,
down, yeah.
they decided to create a civil statute because they're arguing now that the federal government does not have standing. The same thing that the citizens in Texas don't have. Or don't have to bring a lawsuit against someone who had an abortion. Isn't that hypocrisy?
No, it's not hypocrisy because the plaintiff and the respondent, or the plaintiff and the defendant in the case, are still incorrect, like they were last time. Remember, the United States being the plaintiff.
No, but
and
that's
Texas
one of
being
the arguments that
respondent?
was made by the attorney
okay.
today
Okay.
in the
Go
oral
ahead, keep
argument was that the U.S. government doesn't have standing, so President Biden shouldn't be able to ask the Supreme Court to
Right.
challenge the Texas statute.
Let me
And
tell
I
you-
was like,
let me-
how are you going to come? How are you going to pass a statute, right, that doesn't require standing for somebody to bring a lawsuit against a defendant and then show up when that law is getting challenged and argue that the person who's challenging it does not have standing to challenge it?
Because that's let me tell that's why it's so genius. And you know why it's so genius? Because they knew that at the time. They already knew. I bet you it's a Supreme Court judge who's the puppet. Like, this is how you get around.
Okay, she needs to
This
start
whole
watching
thing.
fiction.
Listen,
Because now she's
listen.
imagining in her fiction.
Listen, like, it's such a great argument, right? Like, until you can get a person who is violated, my law stands. Period. Like, you have no standing.
Well, we don't have a ruling yet.
Well, I'm just saying, but that's their argument.
That's what they're trying to argue.
Yeah, but it
is
makes
that
sense.
You shouldn't be able to challenge it because you don't have standing, because this is not a federal statute and this is not a federal question, and there's no issue before the court that would allow the United States to be a party.
What is their claim?
It's unconstitutional, and it's going to cause irreparable harm to the citizens.
But that was the last
Not only
argument.
that, it's interstate. It might affect interstate
It could
commerce.
affect
Right, but
interstate
if,
commerce.
woulda, coulda, shoulda, but it didn't.
No.
No,
Because
you
commerce, you don't play with commerce. You
No.
should.
What I'm
Whenever you do something in the law that can affect commerce, no, the federal government's not playing with you.
So it can, although there are no damage, you can stop a law if you can prove that damages will occur and affect commerce. So
Right.
the issue that they have is if it really was going to be written like extremely tight, they say if you had an abortion in the state of Texas, you could be sued. And we have to prove that you were in the state of Texas when that abortion took place.
Right, but they didn't do
And then
that.
you could do that. But no, they said that abortion anywhere. And because they said that,
Like,
if
but you
went
have to be a Texas
Oklahoma-
citizen.
No, they don't care where.
No, you have to be a Texas
Right,
citizen.
but they don't care where the Texas citizen goes.
To get their
Their law
medical
is
attention,
still, you
yeah.
still file suit.
Yes.
It's too broad.
So that's the issue, is that they're saying you can't control what took place over state lines to come
In
back
another
over here.
state.
Okay, but remember we had an argument prior to this that they said there was no one has been affected yet, so we have to wait for the law.
Yeah, that was when a personal person went after it.
So what's the
That's
difference
individual.
between
Difference is
This is the
federal
government.
government saying
right?
that.
But why do they get a chance?
They
Because
get
we
to
can
say-
stop
They
commerce.
can argue commerce. A private individual cannot argue interstate
Commerce. You can't. That belongs to
Okay.
standing again, once again. Law starts with standing. Who has standing, especially civil law, to bring an action? Law even has standing in criminal cases, listeners. You cannot try me in Fulton County for a crime that I commit in Coweta County.
Oh, I thought you was about to
Because
say
the
for a crime I
state-
didn't commit. They do it all the time.
Oh, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. This country
Like,
criminalizes and
Excuse me,
charges people.
you don't have standing to charge me with anything because I did not commit the crime.
You sound like a sovereign citizen.
I'm a sovereign citizen. I abide by my own laws.
Standing even applies to prosecutors. You don't have standing to try this case. You don't. So you cannot, because you are not in the county where the crime occurred. You can't do that.
So what was the so the plaintiff said the commerce will be affected.
One of the arguments.
So what was the argument about that?
Well, the argument is you're now reaching into another state, because remember, if you flew to Atlanta, right, from Texas, and you're going to sue Delta, you're now affecting commerce, because Delta is an airline that transports people across state lines, and they are in business to transport people across state lines. So Delta could turn around and say, we're tired of getting sued by citizens who fly out of here from Texas. So we're coming out of Texas. We're not going to fly no routes from Texas. Delta's done. Now people in Texas are affected by, I'm not even having an abortion. I'm having all my 3,000 babies, and I can't fly from Texas to Atlanta
To take my 3,000
to
babies
take my 3,000 babies to see their great grandmothers.
Yeah.
So it's disingenuous. It's
a great case though. I mean,
listening to law and the arguments that people can come up. That's why when I meet people who say the law is supposed to be black and white, I'm like, I guess you didn't go to law school, because law is gray. And that's why a prosecutor and a defense counsel can take the exact same facts and argue two completely different stories.
I don't know. I just feel like it's very strategic how they made it a civil case.
I think it's intellectually
and
dishonest.
I feel like if
just
they
like
would've-
how come
what if they tighten
when
it up? Or
how come-
maybe boom. Maybe they know this ain't gonna pass, but once the court address why this particular law doesn't work, they can use it as a,
this
as a
court is really
model.
weird, because sometimes they'll just knock you down and don't tell you nothing. You don't get
So they
any
don't-
description. They're not telling you how to do your job better. They'll just argue what you argued and shoot down what you argued and move on.
well, maybe they'll use that as a
It's tough, because sometimes you're arguing that, hey, they don't have standing, and they would come back and say, nor do the people in your statute, so it's overturned. It is unconstitutional. You understand what I'm saying? So now you didn't get any bonus points.
Is that done on purpose that they don't tell you why?
Courts have a tendency to just want to focus on what you argued and why you're right or wrong about what you argued.
Okay, so
Courts are not in the business of trying to tell you how to argue your case better. I wish they
okay,
did.
so if he doesn't have, so they do have standing, then what?
No, if they rule that the citizens of Texas
If they ruled that the United States
has standing,
has standing,
yeah, then they can argue that they need to suspend the law.
So they're arguing for a stay.
Correct.
Okay, so and then they put a stay on the law, and then what happens?
It stays.
It don't. Go
Congress
nowhere?
is smart enough, they go back and draft another one.
Okay,
You
they
cannot
go back.
stop legislation in a state by Supreme Court ruling. You know what I mean? You can't even stop legislation in the state by a Supreme Court ruling in the Supreme Court of that state.
So when they argue, so they have standing, they win that, go to the next hearing, and they argue the stay and the reasons for the stay. And then when the judge says, you know what, these are great reasons for the stay. So once that is stayed, they can go back. Congress goes back. And
Right,
they
because
can
remember,
rectify
it's
those.
going to be challenged. The only thing that everybody is hurrying up about right now is to stop it from being executed prior to it being challenged. You understand?
But remember how you said like it was disingenuous, so that's why they went around to the civil.
No. I'm talking about disingenuous of the Texas legislators.
saying.
That they didn't make it criminal. If you think it's that bad,
No,
make that
that's what
crime.
But that's where I'm getting at. Like, if you did that, and then you put all this craziness in the bill, right? I'm pretty sure that when they drafted this bill, they drafted it with the craziness in mind. Because while we're sitting here like, that just doesn't make sense. It's so obvious that this doesn't make sense.
No, there's nothing obvious to people.
It's not obvious that a random person can just sue you for something that they have no business being involved in. I mean, what I'm saying is, I guess I'm just thinking strategy. Like, if they put all of this craziness...
So when Trump's lawyer filed all that craziness, did she think strategy?
What I'm saying is, if they thought strategy...
Was she thinking strategy?
I'm saying...
When she filed without the filing fee?
If they thought strategy to come through the civil court, right? And then they put all of this... It's like when legislators give you all this pork belly stuff. Like, let's just see what else we can get in here and just throw it all in. And they already know half of this stuff is not going to land. But once I know what your arguments are and what you are saying, oh, this ain't going to work, this ain't going to work, this ain't going to work, then I can readjust the bill to make it fit an argument that you can't really
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I don't think they're that calculating. I don't think they're that smart.
The goal is definitely what they were trying to do, which is stop from everywhere. Like, they did want to overreach.
They did, and that's why they went so far.
And they want to be. They. I don't believe they will be satisfied with a bill that only stops Texas.
But that's the point. But see, that's where the strategy come in. We create, hold on,
no.
Hold on, let me finish. You can't say no without someone talking. If you find a strategy to where you can stop it in Texas, right? Now you have other states like your Louisianas and your Georgias and your.
But they could have done.
What I'm saying is that we grow.
Bill.
But what I'm saying is
that was strong.
What I'm saying
don't
is
have
that
to worry about, and then just wait on everybody else to copy.
It's like the Trojan horse. We throw anything at you, and then when we see you attack, now. I don't know. I just want to see
that would work if they had done it in their state only.
That's also not the Trojan horse.
I understand.
That's a dead horse.
I just Trojan horse. The point of me saying it was a decoy. The point is it was a decoy. I understand that the Trojan horse, when the warriors got into the horse and they rolled it in as a gift to whoever, and then they was in there, and then when they came out to go check out the thinking. They came out and they started.
They weren't thinking Trojan horse. They were thinking Trojan condom. That's what they were thinking.
Now that's good. But anyway,
they did a Trojan condom to try to get rid of abortions.
What I'm saying is, maybe it's a decoy bill to see what you gonna argue. I just want to see how it play out. Okay. I think it's interesting.
The arguments were there. They were there from the beginning.
They were there. They
knew what they were doing when.
I think so too. I think they just got greedy.
Yeah.
And far-reaching, and instead of minding their own business in Texas,
it was great to run on that.
Yeah, it was. That's true. You can campaign on a lot right now. Look at Virginia. There's a heavily contested race on parents having involvement in schools, and they've already had involvement in schools.
Do you know what they're trying to teach in schools?
No, they already had involvement in schools.
No,
they don't. School boards. No, they have school boards. And no. The issue is he's running off a critical race theory. His argument is, the Republican that's running, his argument is, why should we be teaching critical race theory? Because we're separating and dividing and making certain students feel less than. Wait. White students learning about racism and slavery would make them feel less than? That's what he's running on. And guess what? It's working. They've got a heavily contested race on it. That's what I'm telling you. I don't know what the fix is going to be. I don't know. I honestly believe that segregation is the worst thing that could have happened to the Black community.
Yeah.
I honestly do.
I think that if they teach critical race theory, like, I understand why they should. But the minute you start teaching critical race theory, that opens up the door. I'm going to tell y'all something. It's just that they start with the Blacks and then they open up the door for every and anything.
I have never heard the Black people come first in anything.
I'm talking about with the civil rights.
No. Racism and crime.
What I'm saying is the civil rights. Okay, so let's go back. When Black men were trying to vote, the white women hopped on the movement. The white women hopped on the movement
and said,
football and said, "Hey, Susan B. Anthony, No, it shouldn't be the Negro man who should vote. It should be the white woman who should vote before the Negro man. She try to hop on his movement. Then the civil rights movement. We had the civil rights movement. They opened that up for the women's rights movement. It's like what Dave Chappelle said. We've been doing this for 400 years and still can't get nothing. And then people hop on our movements and they get everything. So what I'm saying is that if we open up the door for critical race theory, next thing you know it, who knows what's next? I'm a ...
So,
What I'm saying
Don't
is this.
open critical race theory
What
because
I'm saying
you might
is
have to
teach your
open other
kids
theories.
No, what I'm saying is teach your kids at home, and if you don't like what's going on in the public
we
school,
about to have
put them in a private school or put them in
Generation of dumb dumb.
Or put 'em in homeschool.
dumb. Let me tell you something. Okay.
You
I'm
really
not
think
gonna
you
bother.
think these public schools is really teaching these kids?
They're not teaching a thing.
teaching
These
them.
teachers.
Right. So what we talking about?
more than they would have
They
learned at
count.
home.
They teaching you how to waste time.
ABCs
They don't
and
teach you.
1,
They
2,
don't teach you
3s.
nothing for real.
Listen.
You be better off learning how to read, learning how to count, and then go working
They
for.
teach you how to interact with different people.
That
of
is true.
different
Diversity.
races
They
and
don't. Not
different
if you in an
everything.
all-black school.
Once again,
They don't
that's-
teach
what
you
does
that.
that have to do?
Which most black kids are pretty much in an all-black school, so they're not teaching diversity. All
You
I'm
have to
saying
interact
is
with your
that.
white teacher.
Say it again.
Yeah, you have to interact with your white teacher. There's teachers.
I
There's
was
white teachers.
Okay, I went to an all-black school in Detroit.
It was all black teachers?
When no. When I first went to a mixed school, and then when I moved to Detroit, or when I went to school in Detroit, we had maybe 1 or 2 white teachers, right? One that I can think of for sure, right? Had experience with him, but even still, that wasn't enough. When I went to Montgomery, I went to a HBCU, and I experienced dealing with white people more in Montgomery, Alabama than ever in Detroit, and it was a complete culture shock. Like I was like, whoa. When the black kids from Detroit public schools go to the Michigans and the Michigan states, it's a complete culture shock because of the community. So I'm telling you, 1 or 2 white teachers ain't saving nothing. And those 1 or 2 white teachers might be getting a better understanding of black kids than black kids of white
I don't
kids.
think that the
No, can I
push to
just
teach critical race theory.
Interject one question: is having 2 white teachers better than having none at all?
It didn't really matter. It might have been beneficial for the white teacher to see a different side of black children when you're in a majority black school compared to.
Do you
I
think
think it's beneficial
Do
for
you
the
think
child.
it didn't matter,
I don't
or you
think
just
it's-
didn't
I did.
recognize how much it mattered?
No, I don't
as
think
a
we
child?
recognize how much it mattered because we're so oppressed.
I don't think
as
that,
a people,
I don't
and we
think
have
it
so much
mattered
other things that
because
we're dealing with.
I didn't think it mattered because I didn't know nothing about. It's a difference when your teacher is the authority and you're talking to your teacher. I mean, I just treated that person as a teacher compared to your classmate or someone, you know what I'm saying, that's more of a peer that you can have an interaction with to learn. I'm not gonna know much about white culture from my white teacher who's just my teacher. That teacher's not taking me home. That teacher's not, I don't have any interaction outside of you give me this assignment and we do a project together. And that teacher probably has a better experience because you're more invested in your kids. But the student is like, hey, that's what's up. And so when I went to Alabama or when I started working with people outside who were not black, woo, culture shock. It was like, whoa.
Well, that's amazing to hear.
Yeah.
Because it's funny that, coming from third world countries, people even who are from majority black countries like Bahamas and Jamaica and some of those countries, it's amazing how when they come to America, because of the difference in upbringing, they don't really have culture shock like that. The kind of culture shock you're describing.
Right, because y'all don't have the same probably interaction with white people.
Well, the thing about it is we
Y'all
do
might
have
better,
white.
that's what
we
I'm saying.
do
Y'all might have better like interaction with.
Yeah, but that's my point is that even the tourists that come to those or go to those countries, there's still not this culture shock because you're here and you're like,
But
oh my
keep in
goodness,
mind,
white people.
When I lived in Detroit, you didn't see any white people, period, unless it was your teacher. You didn't interact. It was like a whole black country where you didn't. Ain't no tourists coming to Detroit back in them days. They weren't coming
But
about.
if you're shooting up, bang bang, I don't.
They weren't coming around like
the
that.
pizza man wasn't coming either.
There wasn't any interaction.
Look, the pizza man wasn't
You know what
coming
I'm
either.
saying? Like,
You'd have to meet him on the corner if you wanted pizza.
We had interaction with more so like Chaldeans or Arab Americans, but not with white people. Like it was when I say culture shock, complete. And I went to a mixed school, for up to like the 5th grade. Up to the 5th grade. I went to a mixed school. And then from 6th grade to high school, all black. And it was just like.
But I think though that the Supreme Court is not going to do anything. I just think because I don't think they're going to do anything. The Supreme Court.
Well, I know, not going to do nothing.
I don't think the Supreme Court is going to do anything about that Texas abortion law.
I think that's hey.
I don't think they're going to do anything. I think they're going to wait until it's a sham and a mockery and a shamokery.
As they should.
Before they do anything. And then it'll cost the taxpayers in Texas a whole lot more. And then more of them will want to move to Georgia. And then I want to close the gate because Georgia is closed. We're tight. It's fat. Georgia's fat. It's tight. We can stay in Texas, please. Stay in California, please. Stay in New York.
Or maybe they'll
stay in Detroit.
Maybe they'll lower their abortion rate.
Stay there and lower it. And don't come here with it. Thank you.
Yeah, don't come to Georgia with
Alec
abortions.
Baldwin has spoken out for the first time since the incident.
What did he say?
He said, I am in contact with the family. There are questions.
About this.
No. He hadn't spoken out yet. When we did that episode, he hadn't said a word. He was in shock.
Oh, okay.
Like your culture shock. And he has just now spoken to the paparazzis that's driving him nuts. He stopped because it was scaring his kids. And he finally said, look, I'm going to talk to y'all. If y'all will promise, stop chasing my cars, stop chasing my kids. You're scaring the family. I'm going to answer only the questions I can answer because there's still ongoing investigation. But I can tell you one thing. It's a freak accident. We're a tight team. We work well together. And this is just an accident. Now, I, in my court TV appearances, had the opportunity to listen to an expert, armorer, right? Mm-hmm. And he cleared up a lot of cloudy fake news for me because I was under the impression when the incident first occurred that no real gun had any place on a set. And I realized from his explanation that real guns are on the set at all times and that it's real ammunition that is the problem. And that it's not uncommon for sometimes the armorer to have 3 types of guns. One fake for real that they use in practice. Fake for real. They use that one in practice. That's like the plastic one you bought at Walmart. Mm-hmm. Then they have one that is completely empty, right? Mm-hmm. Or that has blanks. And then they have one with, sometimes he says, real ammunition for when you're looking for real sound. You understand? There's time where you actually want the sound of the firing weapon, and you can do that, but you have to do it safely. And he says when you're in rehearsal, the actor normally doesn't have the real weapon ever, because the armorer is supposed to have the 3, and the armorer has a tray, and the assistant director, he calls them the AD, right? Mm-hmm. The assistant director is supposed to be the person with a walkie-talkie and a Sharpie and a clipboard. And all they are is like the conductor at a concert. Hey, trombones, time for you to play. Hey, horns, time for you to play. And that's all the AD is supposed to do. His investigation preliminarily into the situation, according to him, is that the director, the AD, rush, didn't wait on the armorer to hand the weapon to the actor. And it is the AD who, in the hurry, because the armorer, who was that young lady, was doubling in 2 roles at the same time. She was not just an armorer that day, but she was playing another role of like a support role. So the support person is supposed to go get water and go get this and go get my purse. And she was a PA, and she's doubling as PA and armorer in that chaotic situation. That what happened that day is some of the camera crew quit in the middle of filming. and that they had to wait for another crew to get a substitute camera crew. So he doesn't know if during the downtime with all that chaos with the crew, quitting, and they're waiting on another crew to come in, if the AD got anxious and said, hey, we got to film, money, time is money. Let's go ahead and start, practicing, or let's go ahead and start, doing some stuff while we're waiting. And he picks up in a hurry, which he should not have, because the rules are that the armorer is supposed to control the armor, because the armorer is supposed to also yell like how co-pilots yell out stuff that they're getting ready to do, and the pilot will shout it back. And if the pilot says something, he shouts it out loud and he repeats it. That's how you repeat it, so that it's conscious in your mind that you've done the checking that you're supposed to do. Well, he says he doesn't know why in that situation, if the allegations are true and it was the assistant director who handed the weapon to Alec Baldwin, why that would have happened, because the assistant director should not have done that. It should have been the armorer's responsibility. So you have a lot of people out there talking about this young lady and how she should be and she's not experienced, but we don't know, and that's why we have to wait until all the evidence is in.
Is the AD the one who got shot too?
No, one of the other producers.
Okay, one of the producers.
Yeah.
So are they saying the AD picked up the gun with the live rounds, or the gun?
That's what he's saying. It's still not clear as the investigation is that they cannot tell if there's a live round, and if a live round was on the set. If it was on the set, is because they knew they had hours to wait on the next crew, and somebody might have said, hey, we're out here in the wilderness, let me just take this gun and and they're target shooting. He says he doesn't know because he's heard allegations about target shooting, and the allegations about target shooting would make sense if they had a 5-hour downtime or a 4-hour downtime.
So they can get the sound.
We're out in the middle of the desert. You understand?
Let's get the sound right quick.
That's
so we
it.
can do something.
So somebody puts the loaded weapon there. AD is not in control of armor, assumes it was unloaded, hands it to Alec Baldwin, and yells cold gun.
So the AD is... So with this story, then the AD has some responsibility.
We don't know. That's what they're saying.
The story, though.
Right. Assuming arguendo, those facts are accurate, then I can understand a prosecutor saying, whoa, that's not even your role. Yeah. You're not the person who's supposed to be handling the armor anyway.
What you charge him with?
It's got to be a negligent homicide. It's negligence. Involuntary manslaughter, depending on what the statute is.
Somebody's going to be charged.
Nobody's going to be charged in this case.
But if that's the story...
I don't think anybody's going to be charged in this case because it's called an accident, not an on purpose. We get insurance for accidents, not an on purpose. Things that happen on purpose, you go to prison.
But aren't there? But if you hit somebody and you ain't do it on purpose, don't you get a manslaughter charge or something?
You can get a vehicular homicide if you were drunk or
what if you're not drunk?
No, those are tougher. Those are tougher because you were driving, somebody caught in your lane and you swung over and you tried not to hit the car that was trying to hit you.
I'm saying like if you hit a person.
That's what I'm saying. You hit a person, but you hit a car and they die. I had a situation like that.
That you hit someone?
No. My client did. Somebody was running him off the road and he's trying to avoid the accident with that person. He heads on with the other car and the person in the other car dies. So it happens.
What if you hit like a person though? Like the actual person, not like... hit the actual person, like they were.
We have one like that right now. They haven't charged him yet.
And what happened?
The person is in a pedestrian. My client's in a pedestrian walk, and he comes around the corner, hits my client, and my client's badly injured. So it happens. No, it just depends on if the prosecutor's running for election that day. Okay. Or running in that county. Then they become so incensed about reckless how you
Let me have a moment with this camera.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Do you?
Word to the wise. Do not, I repeat, do not commit any kind of crime if there's an election year. I'm just saying. Save your crimes off of election year.
Now look, that I will drink to.
Is that the show?
That's episode 27, listeners. Do not forget to subscribe. And don't commit a crime. That rhymes. On an election year. Don't forget to make sure you look for our videos each Wednesday on YouTube because we're pushing them out for you. Subscribe. Find us on Spotify. Apple Podcasts. and Google Podcasts. That is episode 27,
Yes.
listeners. And like we say on Diva Court each week, we'll drink to that. And she drink to that all the time. She'll drink to this and that.
You can drink to this and you can drink to that. You can drink to this and you can drink to that. You can drink to this and you can drink to that.
And I'm going to leave up this. And you
this
can
is
stay
it.
on that.
She gone.
We got to drink to that.